How's it going, guys? So today's a big day. We're just finalizing some things, getting ready to try the first batch of feed. Got the mixer paused outside. They're wiring up a couple last things. Everything in this room is set up. We got hay in the box the other day. Should be good to go. We're about ready to start. I'll have to go over all the things we can do on the computer, but this is where we can set up the rations and make a lot of adjustments. So first batch we're gonna mix is for the heifers, the 13 to 15 month old heifers. It's gonna make a 900-pound batch. We got these conveyor sensors mounted on. We have this on the idler side of the conveyor, not where the drive is. So if the conveyor chain tears, then this would stop moving and it'll shut everything down. Just keeps you from having the silo chute fill up with feed for a ways until something stops. The silage might not come right away. The unloader is going to need to be lower a little bit, but I guess we can do that manually while it's trying.
Turn the counter knife in, pull the counter knife out. That was the extra word you heard. And then it should.
That should work, that flow right there.
Yeah, I'm super with that. I was like, wow, that comes actually pretty consistent.
Yeah, I was messing with it on Saturday. It seemed like it was going to work. But that hay box is one thing that made me a little nervous. I didn't know what that could be a problem.
You got it cut up nice.
It's going to go Triticale now.
Well, I'm glad you were watching over there.
Let's just make sure we got no problem here. Which ingredient were you calling for?
It'd be ingredient
Solid
3, solid 3.
Okay, we're only calling for 1. So let's make sure we don't have a problem.
So we should.
So it just skipped the ingredient because it didn't come?
Because it said it was a non-critical.
Okay.
Well, we didn't raise it when I was messing up there, no, I guess not.
Got a little glitch we had to work out, but now it's loading the Triticale. Should run corn silage.
They'll find out when it's got no load on it.
Yeah, we can see if we think we want more than that. That's a good amount. Corn silage. Alright, so we're doing the post mix now. Goes for a few minutes. You can adjust how long, just to make sure it stirs everything up. This thing might come after me right here. So we'll follow this one down to feed the first batch. Second one's moving into the loading station now. So we'll start mixing the second batch up. Alright, so we're gonna run feed out to the older heifers. At least that's what I think it's gonna do. It's what it should do. They're a little hungry. We fed them a little bit this morning, but we're gonna have 3 different rations for this heifer barn. So the first 3 pens, and then the next 2, and the last 3 are all together into one ration. They're saying this first route, it goes a little slower till it learns. One batch down, that robot's gonna head back, and I'm gonna go see how the other one's going with mixing the next batch. They said everything's kind of slower the first round, and then after it gets the hang of things, it goes a lot quicker, apparently a bit quicker. Just the speed that the door opens and closes and stuff like that even gets faster. So this is the next batch already mixed up for the young heifers. They're never both out at the same time, but can mix a while. And then as soon as this one gets back to the charger, then it'll leave and go run out feed. Got one more batch of heifer feed, and then we're gonna do dry cows. Is it gonna start rolling right away?
So,
Oh, there we go. This is our hay box. Seems to be feeding out pretty consistent. Just a forage wagon. We reverse the chassis so we can pull it outside and fill it up with skid loader. So that one robot just went up and checked all the troughs, and it's starting to batch now for the milking cows. A couple of the groups that already put some hay and triticale in. Now it's running the supplement out of the first bin. Yep. Open the slide a little bit more, I think. The first time it's running these ingredients, it's learning how quickly to shut it off. Just started to back up again because it didn't quite have the weight it needed. Should be very accurate because it's running in pretty slowly, and then it can stop it off exactly when it wants to. Yep, toasted beans going in. We might adjust it. I think the molasses should maybe run in before the silage. Make sure it gets mixed properly. So this is our corn silage silo. Conveyor is very short.
There it comes.
It looks like it's doing a nice job stirring this right now. That milk cow batch is on its way up. We'll go check that out in a minute. It's starting to mix a batch now for the pre-fresh dry cows. This one bin was acting a little funny. You want to make sure the pre-fresh supplement makes its way in here. So we always start with dry hay and then triticale, and then usually the grains. So there's just the dry cow mineral out of one of the little mineral bins. Just a little bit of that. Yeah, there's the supplement. It's working. Struggling a little bit though. So it ran part of the batch into group 3. Now it's going to run the second half of it out to the special needs cows. It's got a high speed mode that'll kick into right at the end just to clean that auger off. That batch of pre-fresh feed is heading out. Now it's mixing up a 1,300 pound batch of dairy mix. We had tried an 1,100 pound batch the first time to make sure it wouldn't overfill it, and there's plenty of space. Everything's working very smoothly. We had one issue with the pre-fresh. That pipe clogged. It's just a little tackier than the other grain ingredients. Clogged the whole way up and then shut the motor off up top. So we changed the angle, just straightened that out, that one pipe there. Seems to do a great job mixing, and I like how slow the grain ingredients go in. That way it just gets a lot of time to mix throughout the batch as it's falling into the mixer. So we got the grain in, now it's going to run molasses, I believe. We switched the order a little bit.
Yeah, there it comes. Molasses is coming.
Running in a little bit earlier to allow it to stir a little bit longer. Keeping them busy right now because it's feeding time. All the cows are getting hungry, so that one just switched back in. It's going to mix another full batch of milk cow feed. They're going to do some tests on the feed then to make sure the ration's consistent across the whole bunk, that's mixing everything properly. I had some comments, people asking what the influence of my YouTube channel was in the decision to put this Vector feeding system in. We made this strictly a farm decision. We decided to put the Vector in because we thought it was the best choice for our farm going forward. Once we had already decided to put this system in and signed off on it, we worked out a partnership that I'm excited about. If you're a dairy farmer that may be interested in a Vector, you can talk to your local sales rep. There's a code 10th Gen. We'll have it down in the description as well below the video. But you can get a 5% discount on Lely Vector, just the feeding system, the Vector system. So we believe this is a good unit for our farm and that it's going to pay for itself and be a good investment. And I think that it's something that could fit for a lot of other farms. I'm not going to say it's something for every farm, but you can see the flexibility of it. It can work in a lot of different situations. I'm just going to be showing you guys how these work for us, trying to be honest and show the good and the bad. Yeah, if you're interested in the Vector, you can use that code 10th Gen and get yourself a discount. It'll help me out as well, so it's a win-win. So this mixer has a full batch right now. It's going around, it's pushing the feed, doing its same route. So as it's pushing, you can see that little red dot down there. That's a laser it's using to measure the feed height. So it's also measuring the other groups. Even though it's going to run this feed out, it's getting an idea of how much feed the other groups have a while. And then it'll know when it needs to mix the next batch. This whole load's going to pen 4. The next mixer is working on a batch for pen 1. Group 2 needs fed and the special needs again. So it's going to be busy for a little bit, but it's soon going to be getting caught after a little better. This is 1,300 pounds of feed. It's going to run this all to one group. So for this group, we were normally running out 2,600 pounds twice a day. So this is about a quarter of the feed they're going to need for the day. So we can kind of play with it in the future if we want it to feed more often, reduce the batch sizes, or get it to combine loads with different groups. That way it doesn't have to mix more batches, but it can run them out to multiple groups at once. For right now, we're just going to feed a max load to each pen and keep it simple. The feed looks exactly the same as when we were mixing with our mixer. As far as I can see, it's consistent, it's mixed well. It's kind of cool because it's going to do things exactly the same every time. Should be very accurate with loading each ingredient and then also mixing it for the exact same amount of time. It's just going to help that feed to be the same thing. Every time a cow comes up to eat, she's getting a consistent ration. It's a big deal. It's almost 6 p.m. I am going to go get some supper and they're going to let them run tonight. See how the night goes. Hey guys, so it's the next morning. It's 4:15. I'm getting started with the milking. Feeders have been running all night. Looks like we got feed in front of the cows, so that's good. There was one hiccup around midnight. There was the one ingredient had timed out for some reason, so I restarted it and then it worked fine. So made a little adjustment to the one timer. I think it'll stop that from happening. Seems to be working now. It's pretty incredible. I already have feed out here. Normally my dad would be out in a little while to start mixing, but this morning he doesn't have to, so I don't know if he's gonna know what to do with himself. One thing we have to work with is this middle crossover. When we're milking, the feeder can't come over to this side of the barn at all. I want to make sure we set it up so that it feeds this side soon before the milking to make sure they have enough feed. Finished up the morning chores, checking out the Vector, seeing how things are going. It just ran out of batch to group 3. It's keeping up really well with the feeding. Yesterday it was pushed because we got a little bit of a late start. Everybody needed feed at once. Now it just closed the door. I'm going to be paying attention to how much feed is in the troughs at different times of the day, and we can adjust the feed heights when we want it to mix more feed, how often. My dad seemed to enjoy this morning. He came out 6:30 or something and he was just helping do some things around the barn, and now he's going to get a couple filters. He's here now. We're going to change the fuel filters on this tractor and put it on the manure spreader. Hey guys, so it's 5 p.m. now. It's been over a full day since we started the system up. We've been really happy with how it's been working so far. Haven't really had any issues other than just the one time it stopped last night because the one timer wasn't waiting long enough for feed. There was a bit of a gap between when the unloader started and when I was expecting feed. It timed out, so just stuff like that we're adjusting, but it's been pretty encouraging to see it working all day. There's a lot of different adjustments that we're still making. We're not getting a lot of the data as far as how much the cows are eating and everything. It's going to take a little bit of time for that to settle in. Yeah, at this point we're just trying to keep the cows fed and learning things about how the system works slowly. I'm planning to make a lot of videos on this system, kind of a learning curve with it, and then as we see some success, hopefully being able to highlight some of the things we're really liking maybe some difficulties we're having. I've enjoyed being able to film the process of putting this all together this year. It's definitely satisfying to actually see everything working, and it's going pretty much as planned. I mean, I couldn't picture this exact setup when we got started, but this was generally the idea, and it's working for us. So at least it's worked for one day. So we'll see how it goes as we move forward here. I'd like to do some detailed videos about different decisions we made. There's been a lot of questions about why we did certain things. I want to go over more of the features of the feeder. There's quite a few different things that it can do. That'll be in a different video though. For right now, I think I'm going to end this one. It's actually just starting up a batch. I'm not sure what it's going to be mixing. So I can look on this app and see what batch it's mixing. So it's loading a dry cow batch right now. It's going to put a bunch of hay in. This batch has quite a bit of dry hay. Total weight on this batch is only 700 pounds because of how fluffy it is. It fills the mixer up more than the other cow feed does. We're planning to have an exhaust fan in that back wall. We'd put one up there, but it just doesn't have the power. Need to get a hold of a 1/2 horsepower, bigger motored one that can actually pull some real air out the back. Most of the batches aren't too dusty, but then this dry cow batch, so much hay goes in, that's where most of the dust comes from, that dry hay. So I put the mineral in, now this is soybean meal. I just need corn silage. It's the first time we mixed this dry cow batch. I'm not sure if I filmed it yesterday. We had it set to mix 1,000 pounds, which it can mix 1,300 pounds of the dairy ration. So I figured we'd back it off a little bit, but 1,000 was way too much of this dry cow feed because it's so fluffy and it's got that dry hay. So even though it's not a lot of weight, there's a lot of dry matter there, a lot of material. It was overflowing up. We did fit it in, but it was so full that it was having trouble mixing it properly. So we dropped it back to 700 pound batches, and I think that's gonna work pretty well. You can adjust the amount of time you can post mix then. We have this set to 12 minutes just to make sure with all that dry hay, it just seems to make it a little bit harder to mix up. I could stand in here all day and just watch it mix batches, but it's about time for me to have supper, so we'll just let them work. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I try to read those and then it gives me an idea of things I need to explain better in future videos. Okay, see you guys later.